Hey everybody, welcome to GuitarsOK. I'm your host Mac, and today I have a special episode with a friend of mine here. This is Brandon Autry. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here.
All right. I love it. So Brandon is a hometown, homegrown, Oklahoma, right?
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yep.
I don't run into too many people in Tulsa area that actually are homegrown.
Really?
Yeah, because there's so many of us transients.
Oh, wow.
They come in from New York, California, Minnesota, because we love the weather.
That's interesting, though, because, yeah. I mean, it makes sense because when you go to another town, like if I visit another town, I'm a transient. So I immediately, am seeing all the others and less of the hometowners. You know what I mean?
Like Nashville?
It makes total sense.
Like Nashville,
yeah, it's
right?
like nobody's from Nashville.
Right. That's how I felt about
Nobody.
living here in Tulsa.
But because I'm not, you talk to the ones that aren't. But you know what I mean? And
Yep.
it's like the ones that are in town that are from there, born and raised, they all know each other, which makes total sense.
Yep. So you're homegrown here.
Homegrown
so
here.
So for everybody out there, if you haven't seen Brandon before, let me just take a second here, Brandon, and let's just start with where you're at right now. So why don't you tell everybody, like, how can they find you and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I play guitar for David Lee Murphy. He's a country artist based out of Nashville. We play a lot, so we're kind of just all over the country. So you can find us at one of those. This week we're playing. This sounds bad. I don't know where we're playing this week.
Typical musician.
I have to look.
So is there a website, Facebook page?
Yeah, davidlee.com.
Okay.
And then, I try to update stuff on as far as shows and stuff on my like Instagram and Facebook, stuff like that. Too.
So it's Brandon Autry on Facebook.
Yep.
What's your Instagram handle? Is
Brandon
it the
Autry Guitar.
Brandon Autry
Yep.
Guitar.
Yep.
And then there's David Lee Murphy.
David Lee's got a Facebook or a Instagram. I think Facebook too.
I think so.
Yeah.
And he's got a website.
He's got a website, davidlee.com.
Yeah. And on there here's an interesting thing. We'll talk about that for a second. So when I got into country music, right, growing up, where I grew up, I heard a lot of it, but then I went in the military and I heard more, and that was 90 to 94, and then guys like David Lee Murphy were coming out. So when I got out of the Army, 94, 95, and my wife and I were going to concerts, it was Black Hawk and David Lee Murphy and all these guys, and so his number one hit is what?
Yeah, Dust on the Bottle.
Dust on the Bottle, which I used to think was Dust on the Bible.
Yeah, we get a lot of those.
So, and he wrote a lot of songs for like
Dude.
Kenny Chesney.
Yeah,
what's the one you were just playing?
Our whole set is that was Living and Fast Forward, but our whole set,
Love
man,
that
are
song.
like, it's so wild. Like, I'm so grateful because, I mean, I'm grateful. I try to be, grateful for everything, but this, especially this job, is like, it's so fun, because I know all the songs. And when I first got the set list, at first I was just filling in with David. And they sent me the set, and I was like, dang, well, I know all those.
So it's a fun thing. Is before we delve into your past years, the country scene is different than the rock scene, which is different than the jazz scene. And one thing, being a rock guy growing up, Journey was my first cassette tape. Frampton Comes Alive was my first record I had, double album record. And so when I got into country, I started realizing like a lot of country artists like play other people's stuff. So like Chris Stapleton wrote songs for somebody, Kenny Chesney wrote songs for people, David Lee Murphy wrote songs. And I know if you go on David Lee Murphy's website, I was on there recently checking you out, finding your history here, and I saw he has a list of songs that he wrote.
Yeah.
And I'm going through the list, talking to my wife, going, I know that song, I know that song.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I did not know he wrote that song. So it's really interesting that in the Nashville scene, which is what you're a part of right now, right?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah.
They kind of all interweb, right?
Yeah.
Know each other.
Oh yeah. Well, Nashville's a small town, and it's really small. And I think you realize you traveled the world. You know what I mean? So you know how small the world is. It's crazy. It's. I think it's just, as far as in the country music scene though, it's such a big songwriter scene, and I think the others are too though. I think in the rock scene but in the rock scene, it's most bands are writing their own songs.
Correct.
Whereas like in Nashville, I guess you could relate it to like the contemporary Christian music too. Like
So true.
a lot of songwriters in that. It's like, I mean, playing in like churches and stuff, you start to see a lot of similar songwriters on a lot of songs. It's like, and then you start to hear that influence. And And I think, you know, David, I mean, he just got put in the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty wild. He's excited about that.
That's really cool.
And, you know, we're all excited for him.
So here's the thing I want to say is, you're out playing, right, with David Lee Murphy. So did you get like a new guitar for that type of gig?
No.
Or did you already have this guitar?
Yeah, I already had this one.
All right, so let's show this, and then we'll delve into your history a little bit.
This is a Nags. They're out of Maryland. They're in Maryland. Joe Nags is the builder, and they got a whole team, you know, and he's the guy. He's the name. They have a wonderful team. Peter Wolf is the I know he definitely does artist relations, but I'm pretty sure he does a whole bunch of things too. And they're so cool.
So this type of guitar, was there something special that drew your attention besides pickups, neck, how it feels, color? What kind of got you on it?
Yeah, so just my first Nags was a Kenai. It was a J, like a single P90 single cut type guitar, you know, and I loved that guitar, and getting to know them and talking to them and becoming friends with them, you know, it's like, man, and you know, being a guitar nerd too, it's like, I want another. And so I called and I ordered this, and just talking on the phone, it was like, you know, I wanted a versatile guitar, you know, something that's not so one direction, you know what I mean, as far as sound and stuff and playability, and I've always gravitated towards, you know, humbucker and single coil guitars, and so in talking with, I like this style because it is like a single cut, even though it's technically I guess it's kind of a Telecaster body, but really to me it just looks like a bigger single cut, you know, and so, you know, Joe,
Take it to the camera.
and well, oh cool, yeah, we on the, you know, on the Nag stuff, you know, they have this kind of special thing they do with the back of the body, you know, how it's kind of bigger, you know, and that has to do with like how it resonates, and I'll say, like, from the first guitar I got from them, it was just a very musical, alive instrument. Like, it just resonates, and it's just, you know, they figured it out. Joe's figured it out. But you also look at the heel on that. You know, it's not like a typical bolt neck. Like, look at the way they set that on. It's like everything is so intentional, and you know, so I was ordering this guitar with Peter, and I was like, you know, talking about the guitar, and it's like this is like a Strat neck, like a '60s Strat style neck. I knew I wanted a rosewood board because I think it looks cool, and I was like, I want a white guitar, and he suggested that I go Swamp Ash, not only for the weight, because it was already going to be light, because I wanted a semi-hollow body. He suggested the Swamp Ash. He was like, if you get that and we do you know, whatever white this is, you'll be able to see the wood grain through the guitar.
I love it that the pick guard.
Oh yeah, so I was
the
like,
pick guard looks very similar to the body paint.
Well, yeah, so I was asking him about the guard.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what's that come with? And it was like a dark, normally what they come with. I was like, can you make one out of maple? And so it's maple.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's just a maple guard.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
So
nice finish to it. You can see the grain and everything under it. So it's a maple
it's
guard.
It's a maple guard.
What top you use this? Is
this
alder?
Is Swamp Ash.
Swamp Ash. Okay.
Yeah, so it's super light.
Yeah, it is.
But it's hollow obviously too. So, you know, they make their own trim style, which I love. Cool. It feels great. I mean, it's all great. The pickups are Seymour Duncan. I know these are like a aggressive, like Texas style, I think. I don't remember which one this is. Mm-hmm. But I love that sound. I haven't changed anything. I wouldn't change anything about it.
Is it a 3-way?
It's a 5.
5-way
Yeah,
switch?
It's got a coil tap that actually works really good. Like, it doesn't. You don't lose any volume when you use this.
So coil tap. We mentioned this before in one of the other episodes. So coil tap. If this part right here, the humbucker style, has two rows of pickups in it.
Yeah.
And so the coil tap. Separates the sound. It
normally cuts one in half.
Cuts one in half. Yeah.
But I don't know what. You know, I know they do a thing, but you don't lose any volume, which is like a lot of them you do. You know what I mean? And this one, it's like it just sounds like a single coil.
So that's important on stage for people playing, I imagine. I don't.
Yeah.
I've played on stages like at Asbury and stuff. But anyways, if you're playing on stage, if you're switching,
Well,
do you switch between pickups while you're playing?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, I live between the bridge or the neck
Okay.
most of the time. And most of the time it's just the bridge. I live on my volume knob a ton. So between being able to, not being able to, but adjusting the volume a lot, I get a lot of sounds from just the bridge, just because I'm always just rolling it back, cleaning it up. I pretty much just leave amps and drives and stuff set.
So you're a set it and forget it kind of guy. You just set it.
I don't want to think. I want to think about the song.
Right.
And I want to live in the moment. I don't want to be all heady and you know what I mean.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna keep talking for a second. I'm gonna pick up your board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll plug it here. There we go. And I'll show the viewers. So a lot of our viewers are guitar guys.
It's the most uninteresting pedal board
This is
on
great.
the planet.
I love it. So if you're a guitar, I'm gonna focus here. So you got your tuner. From your tuner to what?
Yeah, it's a full drive, which I love those, and then that's an ethereal, so I like it because it's verb and delay. It's 2 in 1 and it's small.
So is the drive set? You got two drives? You got two drives?
Well, yeah, it's a drive and a boost.
So it's a drive and a boost.
Mm-hmm. So I'll use the boost for solos and stuff.
So you got the drive and the boost. So it's basically almost like two pedals, right? And
I mean,
then
technically,
these are
yeah,
two.
it's kind of like 4 pedals on a board.
I love
So
it.
I guess it is interesting.
It is.
That's
interesting.
interesting.
See, so that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of drawing this out.
Yeah.
So the both. I mean, I'm telling you guys, he's actually interesting.
I need
okay,
to tell
so-
people that I got, let's do the math here. It's 2, 4. I got,
You got 5 pedals on here.
there's 5.
So this is you get points right now for being a clean board.
And a lot of people count the power supply as 1, and it's just I just used the daisy chain, so there's 6.
Okay.
There's 6 things on here.
Fair enough, man. 6 things, and you
If
got
you
all
count
the
the
settings
handle,
on here. Yeah.
That's useful. It's 7.
I love it, man. This is just so cool. It's just nice and concise.
Well, so the guy that
Gets
built
it
this
done,
board,
yeah.
can I talk about that?
Sure, go for it.
A buddy of mine is friends with Rip Mays out of Nashville. Rip builds everything for Joe Bonamassa. He works for, so he was in rehearsals with Amy Grant and Vince Gill when he built this board. And my fear was, because I was just, all year I was just taking these pedals, this, and this separate in my bag. And finally, Roddy, the guy that he does everything for us, runs sound, tour manages, he's one of my closest friends. He's like, man, and I know in his mind, he's so nice. In his mind, he's like, that looks like trash. He's like, let's get you a board made. And he was telling me about Rip, and I was like, but Rip, Rip Mays was also like Prince's guitar tech, and
Oh wow.
and Rip is such a nice guy. I was like, I was just like, I just want a board for this. Is this too small of a job? And Roddy's like, no. He's like, he's built boards for like 1 pedal and stuff.
Wow.
So I was like,
So this just comes right out of the case. You pop it right out of the case, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because Brandon's traveling a lot, and he has family still here in the Tulsa area. So you're traveling a lot. So how important is it to be concise, be able to just put something in a nice, it's got like a military grade case over here off camera.
Yeah.
Right? You throw that in a gig bag
huge.
and you roll, right?
Man, and I hate load in. I hate carrying my stuff.
But kudos to you for still using pedals, though.
Thanks.
And amps. I mean, we're in a day and age right now. So let's talk about this. Let's go this way. How important to you is playing through real amps, pushing the air, feeling that?
I prefer it.
Yeah. Why is that?
It's fun.
Rip on that for a second. Why is it
We
important?
were talking about the placebo effect earlier.
Yeah.
I think not that moving air on stage that's not a placebo effect, but it does affect. I think for me, the energy and it does change what I'm going to play, and it affects everything. And I think just having a good time playing, playing an amp is fun. You know what I mean? Driving a fast car is fun. You know what I mean? And so it's just, and I'm grateful because, David likes
real
live amps.
Likes real amps.
Yeah, and we don't, it's really we just use monitors, we just wedges.
Yeah.
And we just have live amps on stage, and it's just a live band. And we have a great time with that. And
so do you travel with amps, though? People are wondering, I'm sure now.
Yeah, I mean,
what amps
so
you take?
so if I drive to Nashville to get on the bus, which I do most of the time, I'll take my amp. Yeah.
What amp is that?
So it's a sine wave. So Chad Mangrum built it. He's in California.
I'll put a picture right about here on
Yeah.
the screen because I have it from when you played with. Picture
Oh
of it
yeah.
when you played at the Colony.
So that's a cool amp. He was one of the builders at Two Rock for many years, and we became friends. And I had a weird idea for an amplifier, and I guess it's not that weird, but it's like one of those you call them, and you kind of describe it as a guitar player, and I'm wondering like, do I sound like a child, or does this even make sense, or?
Were you making noises? Telling them like,
I was
I
just
want
like,
to sound
man,
like. Boop, boop,
I was
boop,
just like, I played matchless amps for years,
Yeah.
and I love this about matchless, but I don't like this about the amps. And I was like, but I also, I like Fender amps, and I love this and this, and I like Marshalls, but I like this and this, but just like, I also want it to be versatile. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to, if I record, I do a lot of sessions. Like, I'd like to just have one amp to where I can dial it up, make it crazy heavy, or I can be super clean, or At the end, I was like, "Does this make sense?" He was like, "Oh yeah." So,
I'm thinking right now as you're talking about versatility, right, in your amp, right?
Yeah.
This guitar offers versatility because this is a fat Strat style.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a fat Strat, as we like to call them in the Strat world.
Yeah.
So you've got the fat Strat style you've got the coil splitting, right?
Yeah.
You got the coil splitting going on. You've got an amp that's which is really nice amp. I heard the amp live,
Thanks,
and there's some shorts. Get on my show, and check out the shorts with Brandon playing. He was at the Colony of Paul Benjamin a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I put that on there, and so I'll put a picture. But your amp is covering a lot of bases.
Mm-hmm.
Your guitar's covering a lot of bases. The sound you're getting actually can cover. I can tell by what you're using, your drives and your ethereal.
I mean,
you're covering some
yeah.
bases.
Yeah.
So my question for you, leading you up to this, is when you're on stage and playing with him, what type of sounds are you trying to cover? Clean, dirty?
Man, I don't know.
Talk about that, Brandon.
I mean, I
Depending on what song
usually
it is.
live dirty.
Live dirty,
I'm never
okay.
really. I'm not a just clean amp guy. And like I said, to clean it up, I leave my dry pedals on, and I just roll this thing back.
So you bring it from edge of breakup down a little bit. I'm thinking, kind of taking it up.
And I
cleans up
feel
the
like
tone.
that it gives you sustain. It allows you to have dynamics to be musical. I love like musical feedback, and I don't want to. I feel like for me, when I play a clean amp, and there's other guys you'll listen to them. I feel like Flying V's are an example. Like, I love Flying V's, but I go to play one, and I'm like, man, that's just not for me. But I wish I was.
You can't sit good with them.
And clean amps, yeah. You hear some players with just a perfectly clean amp, and it's like, man, why can't I'm just wish I could do that. You know what I mean? Because they get all the sustain, and it sounds beautiful, and I'm like, it's fat, and when I play it, it's like super thin, and
just not your thing.
It's not attractive.
That's okay to say out there, right? You taught guitar for years, right?
Yeah.
You're still teaching, right? People can reach out to you, right?
Yeah.
And you can message me at YouTube if you're interested, and you're Skyping, you do all that kind of stuff. So he does teach lessons and everything too, through remote lessons. But it's okay, right? And I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna put it out there. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to have some influences and like this guy out here that plays, like Eric Johnson, for example. Love him. But I can learn some stuff from him. It doesn't mean I've got to be him and I need to buy his gear. Yeah. It's kind of like I hear you saying, like, you hear clean sounds, you hear players that are clean, but it's just not your thing.
No, I'm a horrible version of someone else.
Exactly.
I'm like a bad, but I'm really good at being me.
I work on being the best me I can be. Yeah. That's really all I can do.
And as a guitar player, though, I try to be inspired by almost everything.
Yes.
And so I had to give myself permission to be like, I'm inspired by that, but I need to just let that take me to like out of my comfort zone and try it out. And then but I feel like you got to go through that process of trying things to finally decide like what is, if you have a thing or what's working for me. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
What do I do? You know what I mean? And how do I make things sound as musical as possible? Because at the end of the day, we're just making music.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to say it's not that hard, because I don't want to cheapen it, but it's really not that hard. You know what I mean? It's like, it just needs to feel good.
So it's kind of like, I played rugby for the Army Nationals and stuff, and I was in there, and they pushed us before we went to Nationals, 93, 94. They pushed us. I was in a rugby league. I was airborne infantry, all that stuff, whatever, but there's a rugby league down in Central America. So when we were training, they pushed us in all different aspects. even though my one role was a hooker, I was a hook. Support your local hooker.
Yeah.
It's always an expression. But anyways, it's just a rugby
Yeah,
thing. So, and they pushed us in different things. So I had to learn all the different positions.
Yeah.
Even though I sucked at a lot of them, but I was good at that one. But I had to learn them because as I got into that position, it made me think, I know how they're thinking.
Well, oh yeah.
So it works with guitar.
Gosh.
Even if you're not a jazz guy, you learn some jazz.
I think it's so, there's a subject that comes up a lot in the guitar world. It's like the rhythm guitar and the rhythm section. And I think I've always believed you have to be a great lead player. You got to be a great rhythm player. And because a lot of rhythm, I feel like it's such a wild thing. People look at it as like it's like second chair. And a lot of guitar players, and I used to be one of those, that I was like, I'm rhythm, so I'm not that good, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not. But you got to really like embrace being a great rhythm player, and to really understand, and you got to, to play in a band, you got to know where everyone's space is. It's like another guy a good friend of mine gave me this great example of a band as like a drum set. You don't hit all drums at the same time. It all has to make sense. And so, being in a band, you've got to not want to step on each other because you're making music, and you do have to have an understanding of what everyone's job is so you can do yours, And so, and especially like with being a guitar player, having an understanding of the rhythm section, and guitar, more often than not, there's two guitars in a band, and so like where's that other guitar player living, and I need to live somewhere else if we're going to complement each other and make, you know what I mean? And
so here, let me ask you, if you were to put a number on it, it's probably impossible to do, but how much of your set are you playing lead guitar in percentage compared to rhythm? 75, 90% rhythm?
Yeah, I mean, with us, I'm the only guitar player, so, but
you're playing more rhythm.
Majority is rhythm.
Rhythm, right. So if somebody doesn't
I consider myself a rhythm player. I play a lot of lead guitar, but I've always felt like I started off as a drummer originally, and what's interesting though is the older I've gotten, I've always for years insisted on considering myself a lead player. But
gotta push your limits.
But realistically, I'm a rhythm player, and I really enjoy it. And but yeah, it's most of the song, and what's funny is like growing up, like I always felt like the guitar solo of the song was like the commercial break. I really wasn't into it.
I like
as
it.
a kid.
That's really cool.
You know what I mean? Like I tell you, I liked Metallica growing up.
Yeah.
But honestly, before I started playing guitar, as just a listener, I spaced out when it came to guitar solo time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but the solos I'm most attracted to now are the ones that are basically like singing.
Melodic soloing.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like
I love melodic
a guy
soloing.
said something to me one time. He was like, don't play something you couldn't sing. You know what I mean? Like, don't play.
Can I see the guitar for a second?
Yeah.
So I was at Naynard's house the other day. So that's exactly it. So.
Yeah. Well, what were solos back when guitar was first a thing? What were they doing? They were just redoing the melody line, the vocal line. And that's a great, I don't want to call it a hack, but if you're doing a session or whatever, if you don't know what to play, just listen to the vocal line. And it's free. So it's there. The melody already exists.
Dude, you are like preaching to the choir right now. So I'm all in this right now.
Yeah.
I'm all in this. I'm all ears because to me, let me see one more time.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing, and I'm not like you guys. Like I don't get paid to do this, but so like I'm taking like that. Right, the Commodores, and then I'm just hearing what he's singing.
Yeah.
And it's all I'm doing, right? It's just trying to figure out. And I'm getting back into guitar. I'm not like you guys. Like I don't go out and play.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, if I'm gonna learn how to play lead, I want to hear what Lionel Richie's singing.
Yeah.
I want to hear what he's singing, man. I want to mimic him.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Like it's such a weird thing. For years, I only played in the key. I'd be like, well, here's a song, and I'm gonna, if the song's in G, okay, so I'll play in G. And so, but if you're not listening to the melody, and if you're not really paying attention to everything else that's going on, you're just playing in G, but you're not really saying anything. You know what I mean? You're not responding to anything. So like you and I are playing lead guitar right now.
Right.
We're improv.
We're improv. Exactly.
This is literally what it is.
We're winging it right now. We did not script this video.
But this is literally what it is. So play like you got something to say, not like you got something to prove. And so like this is a very organic.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. That's gonna be one of our shirts coming up on the back.
Hey, so you know, like I'm responding to you. Our energy is.
Yeah.
We're getting excited. But I'm not yelling. I'm not talking too fast.
Nope.
I'm not using these crazy expensive words.
$1,000
You know what I mean?
words.
Like we're just talking. But if I were to go off script and be like, just talking too fast, I'm angry when you're being chill, it makes no sense. But I'm still speaking English. So like,
true.
I feel like in a song of like, you can just play in the key, or you can like, you know, respond to what's there. You know what I mean?
Melody and yeah. So how so when you're on stage and you're playing, right, and you think you're ending a song, you get ready to start another song, you're already thinking ahead. Right? What you got to do to your guitar, what you got to do to your gear.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing about professional musicians like yourself and that I always look at. And I'm focusing sometimes at the end of a song when I'm at a concert and watching what they're doing next. Def Leppard, Scorpions, Eric Johnson, Larry Carlton when I saw him live. Oh my gosh, 3-piece live, little venue, Niagara Falls. And like as he's finishing the song, his brain's already going to the next one, and he's already like that break where he's talking to the crowd. He's switching everything to get that next feel, right? Because it's always about the interplay, really.
Yeah.
It's about the rhythm.
Well, and if you know, if you're on time, you're late. You know, so like
I love
it's
it.
like
my kind of guy right here.
it's a you gotta be well, and especially with playing too. So like if you don't know what it's gonna sound like yet before you play it, then you're just kind of just like you're just running into the woods with no end in sight. And
might hit a tree.
Like this trick that someone told me about years ago was like decide how you're gonna resolve it before you start it, and that's gonna change how you get there. But if you really don't know, you're just kind of just truly shooting from the hip. It's so like, yeah, like, you know, songs coming up. Well, and I'm the worst at like forgetting intros too. I'm the worst at song titles. And so I'll look at a song and I'm like, and you know, like, what song is that? Not so much with us, but like other bands and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'll look at someone, like bass player. I was filming with this band a few weeks ago, and I was like, hey man, say some of this intro real quick, you know? He's like, I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Got it. You need the conversation to start, and then you're on board.
Yes, but you know, you got to think ahead.
So let's talk about. So let's talk about the past right now. You grew up in the Tulsa area.
Yeah.
And was a smaller town. Now it's even getting bigger out in Birmingham.
Yeah.
It's huge. But so did you come from a musical family? Did your brothers play? Did your dad play? Was there music in the background, or is it just hanging out with friends? What, you know?
Yeah. So I grew up. My family loved music, and I always knew. I had a relative that I didn't know that was really. They called him the singing cowboy. It was Gene Autry. I didn't know him though, and I never met him or anything. So there's some of that, and I think we always liked all styles of music growing up. When I was growing up, country music was always on, and so like I started as like a rock player, but I've always loved country music, you know. And like my first CD ever was Keith Whitley.
Oh wow!
And then it was like Doug Stone, you know. And so like I started into music, you know. 4th, 5th grade into country stuff.
So 4th, 5th grade-ish, right? Now, when did you start playing guitar?
Like 7th grade. I started drums in 6th grade in school, you know, and I started guitar just right after that, and immediately was into like rock stuff. My dad was working security locally at like Kane's Ballroom. At the time, it was the Brady Theater, also, and a bunch of festivals and blues fests and stuff. And we went to all those, and so that was a huge imprint on me because seeing all kinds of styles and getting to talk to the bands and and seeing the other side of like what people are seeing are 90 minutes of the day, but it's the rest of the day that is really make or break you, and but also giving you the perspective of the fan. It's like if someone wants to talk about guitar. I remember being 14 and wanting to talk guitar to someone.
Like right now?
Yeah.
Talking like me wanting to talk.
And it was like, it's, I'll always be
So what was your first guitar then? Were you gravitated towards a Stratish?
I still have it. Yeah, it was a Strat.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It
I was guessing.
A Memphis.
A Memphis.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, I still got it.
You still have it? What color is it?
Black. It's a black and white guard, yeah.
Right.
And I need to put strings on it, but you can't find parts for it. It's like it was, I don't want to say generic, but it was an off-brand. And
you got it locally? You didn't go to like Roy
Seth Lee
Candies
Jones could fix it.
Seth Lee Jones would
I
fix
got it. I got it at
right
over in Grove, Oklahoma. And yeah.
Why'd you pick
Well, my grandparents had a lake house there. And so it was in town, and it was like, I'll say, we got it, and I paid it back with my allowance and worked, mowed lawns and stuff, and that was huge.
So did you have an amp for a while? Did you?
It was I had this. It came with an amp, and then I had this karaoke machine that was a little bigger, just a little bit, but it had a quarter inch. So I plugged my guitar that was carrying this karaoke machine with 2 tapes, and I learned that I could record on one tape, put it in another slot, and I could put another tape in, and that'll record not only what was on that, so rhythm, and then I would play leads and stuff, and I had a drum set too, so I would make these old songs, but I had no click, so it was truly like, I have to find those tapes. I don't know if I can, but like.
That's hilarious.
So
basically you're like looping yourself.
Yeah.
You're just recording.
I remember the day I discovered that too. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this every day, but it was so much work.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
You're putting in the time and playing, and then as you get to like high school age, were you playing in any bands locally or something?
I mean, we tried. And it was like one of those things, you get together with an idea, but you just ended up just making noise for like an hour and a half, and you really never landed on an actual idea. And so, so through high school, it was, try to do band, try to put stuff together. And
what about like after high school? Did you start playing in more bands and churches?
Yeah, I started this band called Driven. It was a rock band, and we did it at a CD at Kane's. There's actually one song on YouTube. I showed it to my son not too long ago. It's so wild, how much we've changed, as players and grow. And it was just a rock band. It was awesome.
That's pretty cool. Did you ever sing, or you just play
guitar?
guitar?
I sing backup, but no, on that it was just guitar.
So playing guitar,
Yeah.
and then eventually, did you start teaching or something in town?
Yeah,
or how'd that work?
I started teaching at Sades in Broken Arrow when I was 19, and I taught there until it closed. And then me and another guy opened up a store, and so we could continue teaching. And then I taught for many years, and then through the whole Guitar Hero phase and stuff, and it was huge, and then after that, transitioned to playing full time. I was playing at churches and stuff too, which I still do. I love doing that.
And down here, the churches down here are different than like where I'm from in Western New York. And down here, there's like rock bands in the churches and like everything going on. And it's pretty intense.
It's a big deal. Well, it's a good way to I feel like there's 2 great things. You get to play at church, which is great, which I love doing, and you also get in a lot of reps. And so here it was like, they had in-ear monitors, they had to play in the tracks and stuff, and it was really like was a professional environment that you were not able to get. So I feel like you see a lot of Oklahoma players that end up in the touring world, and I feel like that is part of the reason though, is because we are able to get those types of reps, because without it,
where do you get it? Where do you get the experience?
How do you do it?
Yeah, I know, right? You got to start your own band. You got to promote yourself. That's a huge issue, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Like, how do you start a band right now? How do you promote yourself?
Yeah.
Do you go record label? Do you go signings? Do you You know what I mean? And if you
Yeah.
promote yourself, do you do it like on YouTube or like we're doing right now, or do you know what I mean? So that's
There's
a whole
so many
thing.
ways.
There's so many ways.
Yeah.
Correct. There's a lot. Those of us that have been around a little bit before all this YouTube and pre-pandemic and all that.
Yeah.
We were, like you said, you either got a band and went out there and banged doors, and took cassette tapes to Canes, or you just
man.
played at church, which helped.
That's right.
Your repetition,
Yeah.
right? Your
Get
grooves.
some hours.
Yeah, I had in-ears, and it blew me away at Asbury back in the day with Mark Bennett and John Paris and Rick Morton on fiddle and everything back then, and in-ears and the levels and playing in front of a couple thousand. And let me ask you this question. So Will was a guest a couple weeks ago, who plays out all the time, and he said he's more nervous in front of like 20 people right here in front of him than when there's like a crowd. You got a crowd out there, like I played Asbury, and I'm looking at the stage, I'm looking at my buddies playing, I'm not even focused on the people.
With a lot of people,
How do you feel
it's
about
creating its own energy
Yeah.
already. So it's already like the hype is so high.
Right. So is it more nerve-wracking to sit with a couple people and
Yeah.
play than see, that seems to be the consensus.
At a Sunday night thing with y'all.
with
I was a
Benjamin.
wreck.
Paul Ben.
You know,
did
I'm
great,
like,
though.
I'm trying to play cool, but I'm like a wreck because like
They're like right in
everyone
your
is
face.
there to listen. Because, well, you know what I mean? Like everyone's there to listen, and at a big room, they're there to listen, but they're having a good time. So like you play a football stadium or you're doing Red Rocks or whatever. It's like the energy exists,
That's true.
and it's I don't know. They're there to see the artist. I think it's a different deal too. They're there to see the guy
Good
that
point.
hired me.
He's got to be the face of it up there.
Right. I'm just playing.
He's got a
guitar.
good face.
I'm
Good
just
looking
trying to
guy.
play-
He's up there.
I'm just trying to play the songs,
Yeah.
and it's,
I love some of the photos that come out recently where you're playing with them.
Yeah.
You're like, and somebody thought you were shirtless on the last one.
yeah.
That's funny. I was just like, that's hilarious.
That was funny.
So what's some of the biggest venues you played at?
Well, like a lot of football stadium. We just did Patriots recently.
Really?
Yeah, Patriots Stadium. That was with Luke Combs. So I got to see Matt Maxwell, who's from Tulsa, real good friend. And I've been with other artists too in the Nashville world that we did a lot of football stadiums. Lucas Oil is pretty big. Trying to think of what the other really, really big stadium. I mean, all football stadiums are big. We did
That's
a lot of
amazing,
arenas
though.
and stuff.
Some arenas. I mean,
Yeah.
arena rock, man.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I got to play the BOK, which was cool. And,
That's cool.
yeah, but all the arenas that are like the BOK Center in the country are, I get to do those.
I was just talking to Jesse. Doesn't know he's struggling.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But it's just his feelings inside. So do you have anything like that when you get
Well,
on stage?
I mean, we were, before doing all that, we had rehearsals where we got to, like in Nashville, they had these big rehearsal studios. SIR is one, and Soundcheck's another one that's downtown. And you rent out a space that's a bigger or the size of what you're going to be playing on tour. And so you get to run your show, as your set, your in-ears, all the potential tech stuff. You'll rent a few weeks out of these places, and you just run, before you hit on a tour, you're running as much as you can. Lights, it's like you're literally playing your show. And then when you go play venues, it just, well, this venue is going to do this and this and this. And so you do, luckily you do have the advantage of running that stuff. But when stuff goes wrong, it's especially if you're like an opening, like support for like a big act, you've only got, for example, we did the Kenny Chesney tour in 2015 when I was with Chase Rice, and it was 25 minutes or something like that. So if something goes wrong, you really don't have like a track fail or whatever, or guitar, something breaks, or whatever. You don't have a lot of time anyways to figure it out.
Kind of right there out in the open. You're out in the open, just
tense.
exposed.
Yeah, we had a few track fails one time, and it was tense for a minute.
That is crazy. Yeah. So for young guys, as we're wrapping up here, what about some advice for some people right now getting into the? Obviously, lessons are important, and you offer lessons.
Yeah.
So anybody who's interested and wanting to tap into the well here.
Yeah.
Let us know. Comment. I'll forward the information. But what kind of advice for somebody right now is about 14 to 20, whatever, and they're trying to play guitar and play out? What would you tell them?
I would say dream bigger than what you are, because the dreams you're thinking of are probably going to happen, and they're more realistic than you think. And then when they do happen, you're going to be like, now what?
So you got to have a plan.
Just, your dreams are never big enough, and just don't quit.
Amen to that.
It's not supposed to be easy.
So keep showing up.
Just show up every day.
I learned something when I was working out and all that stuff through the years. It's easier to maintain than regain.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because I put guitar down for about 10 years and just picked it up last year, trying to play again and stuff. And man, if I'd have just maintained, just showing up. And there's something about that. I was talking to my buddy Nana about all that kind of stuff. If you just keep showing up, and you have bad days when you work out, you have bad days at your work, you have bad days on guitar. But if you just pick it up and you just play 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you
try to learn one new thing every day. It's just one thing. And, in 7 days, that's 7 things.
There you
and
go.
in a month, that's 30 days, unless you get 31.
Or 28.
And in a year, I'm just saying, like, because it's impossible to learn one thing, because that one thing leads to other things. So, but it's an easily doable goal, and it's not, you don't have to overcomplicate it. You can just be like, well, today what's my one thing? You know what I mean? I'm going to learn, you can do a C chord up here with an open G string. It can be simple. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, what else can I do that with? So that one thing lets you, I can do it in G also. Oh, that's cool. So that one thing is like, well, I'm still here. That only took a couple seconds. So like, well, what else can I do? Like, what's a B? I can do a B because I got the open B string, so that's one thing. Well, I can do it with an E. I could do it with an F sharp. I can do it with, it keeps going. F.
And next thing you know,
C.
15 to 20 minutes,
So
you're
one
already
thing,
playing.
if you just try to do one thing a day.
Yeah.
Just super simple, and then just, obviously it doesn't end there.
So consistency is key. Hanging in there is key, right? Showing up is key.
Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, taking care of yourself, very important.
Yourself.
Yeah, the older we get, the more that's important,
Be healthy.
right?
Try to be healthy. Remember that. I think for me, it's just maintaining an attitude of gratitude. Very lucky that I get to play guitar, that I get to work out, that I get to eat good. You know what I mean? Like I get to be with my family. I get to, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that, you're gonna, even when you're doing your passion, you're gonna have days where it's not as fun as it was yesterday. And just remember that you get to do your passion. And man, I'll tell you what, I've never seen anyone fail that stuck with anything. Because I say fail because failing is part of it. You're supposed to fail forward. You're gonna fail. We either win or we learn, and so I've never seen anyone truly stick with something and not succeed in some way. You know what I mean?
I believe it,
think
yeah.
about it. Like
I do.
And so I think that just don't quit.
So what was that one you just said? You either win or
You win or you learn.
Win or you learn. There's another T-shirt we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Do that.
Hey,
I
that's
like
a
that
real.
one.
That's a thing now.
Sounds like a country song. I don't know.
It could be.
Man,
I
talk
don't know.
to some guys out there
Yeah.
that play country and let them know.
Yeah.
You might know somebody. I don't know. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Brandon's got some stuff to do. We appreciate you being on.
Man, thank you.
No problem. Is there anybody you can think about doing a shout out here in a second? Get it ready. But I'm gonna say if anybody's interested in reaching Brandon, just message, leave some comments. You can reach us through the YouTube, and you can find him on Facebook, Instagram, right?
That's right. Instagram, Facebook, shows.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll
easily
put all
reachable.
that in there.
I love talking. So
Yeah, right. See, there you go. So you might be able to Skype Brandon. So Brandon, you got any shout outs you want to?
if I didn't say shout out to my kids, they'd kill me. So Jalen, Jet, Jagger, boys, quit wrestling.
I love it. My kids don't even watch my show anymore.
Really? My
just
kids
kidding.
think I'm the most uninteresting person they've ever met. Like they hate my guts.
I don't know.
They don't hate me, but I'm not interesting.
Coming from two non-interesting guys. Thanks for viewing the show today. Click subscribe, click the bell, ring the bell, leave some comments. I appreciate it all. I'll get back to everybody that comments. I super appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Be blessed today. Why don't you play us out for a second, man? Come on, lean towards the mic or something.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to hear?
How about get something in the people's key, A minor? Give me an A minor or something. Oh, yeah, there we go. There it is. All right. There might be a little dust on the Bible. Yeah. I love it.
That's the first thing I thought about.